We should talk about the announcer. This is what I like to call cruisin' core now. It reminds me a lot of the announcer from Cruisin' USA. David, it has been saved.
It's been saved? What's been saved?
Daylight has been saved.
Boktai, baby. We Boktied this.
The sun is in our hands. I wonder if that's what Hideo Kojima was trying to communicate. If Boktai was just a game about daylight savings time or daylight savings.
In general, I think he's probably anti-daylight savings.
You think so?
I would think so.
Yeah, that's fair.
Hideo's an O2er. Thinks against the grain.
Full disclosure, the sun being up is adding quite a different energy to my normal podcast vibe.
Oh, are you like Superman but with podcasts? You're powered by the sun?
A little bit, yeah. Well, like if you'll remember in summer when it gets like just incredibly hot in here, it feels like just a very physically challenging space to be in. But I think I like that. I think I like the podcast zone to push me a little, and so I think the sun being up is reminding me of the summertime pod. And the creep back towards it.
The summer spirit of Podtimism? Is that what you're saying is coming?
Probably. Although at some point we will have to address the fact that spring has not showed up.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily know if I want to bring spring on the show, but...
Oh, is there something going on there?
We have a troubled past, Spring and I.
Whoa. Why?
Yeah.
This is news to me.
We were involved for a little while.
Oh.
Yeah.
Romantically?
A little. We were toying with that idea, but
okay.
It ended not particularly well for the spring spirit of Podtimism and I.
Say no more. Say no more. If it's uncomfortable for you, we don't gotta bring that spirit on.
It's okay. Maybe I may be able to overcome the wounds of yesterday and bring on this ethereal demigod of podcast video game crossover.
All right, cool. Well, keep me informed. Your comfort is my number one priority, Chase.
Yeah. David, it's Video Game Podtimism. It is the Optimist video game variety show where two best friends talk about the wonderful world of gaming. My name is Chase. And that's it. No flavor text for me this week.
Whoa, Chase.
Yeah.
Chase, flavor text? No flavor text.
None. No subtitle. It's the daylight savings, dude. It's bringing a weird energy.
My name is David. And I never have had an almost thing with any sort of demigod spirit of a season.
Yeah.
So
I guess are you sure?
There was
they
one
may have
time.
Been hiding.
The one time the winter spirit and I locked eyes across the room at a party, but it was just a fleeting moment.
Sure. Okay, listen. Let's get down to brass tacks.
All right, you're ready to go.
I want to talk details. I want to talk juicy details, David.
About what?
Video games, dude. Which ones are you playing right now?
Do.
I want to know. Spill the tea. Gush to me, baby.
You think I play games?
Do you not?
Do you think I look like a gamer?
No, to be honest, I don't think you look like a gamer. When I think of that word, I don't think you look like that.
What does a gamer look like then, Chase?
Conjure it. You know the image.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's sort of a Dorito flavored Mountain Dew sort of vibe.
Dorito brand human.
It's Cool Ranch flavored guy.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Gamers are respectful, Chase.
The ones who listen to our show are. And
true. This is a classy gamer cast.
There are respectable gamers, but I'd say that there are probably a lot of not so respectable boys out there, as evidenced by the whole internet.
Well, regardless,
tell me, please, what video games you're playing, David. I gotta know, dude.
I've whittled it down to just a couple this week.
Sure. Yeah, after our just smorgasbord last week, our charcuterie board of video games.
Now, there's been many episodes of The Bachelor since then. I've given out many roses.
Okay. And you've
sent many people
few.
home from the mansion. The last people standing are Rocket League, so still rocketing. Just fun to go on. In fact, just have like a couple minutes to spare. 5-minute game, in and out, easy peasy. Sure. Getting better. I'm getting better at it.
Okay, good. You were getting hoarse for a second, if I remember the last couple episodes.
This is how it goes with me. I always start off better than expected, and then I crater to worse than anticipated. and then I get back up to mediocre, and I'm kind of on that mediocre upswing right now of learning the game. So I'm getting there. So still good. But really what I've been playing the most of is The Witcher 3. I'm back, baby.
You're fully back. You're fully back in it.
I'm back, and I beat it.
Oh, wow. The DLC.
I beat the DLC. Blood and Wine. All done.
Wow. What'd you think?
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It's quite good. I mean, they added just like a whole entire another world.
Yeah, the land is pretty significant, right?
It's very different.
Yeah.
It's like France.
Yeah.
Like medieval France. Super beautiful.
Yeah, I've heard it's very pretty.
Yeah, like totally different kind of like color palette that they use there for the sunsets and the world and everything.
Yeah.
A huge area to explore. Like really like a significantly large area to just get lost in. And the story and the side quests, there's so much to do. It's almost like could get away with being another game almost. Yeah, it's that deep. So yeah, and the main story was excellent. I really enjoyed it.
Oh yeah.
Pretty much just politics and vampires.
Yeah, I mean that's cool.
It's pretty tight. It's pretty good. All sorts of vampires. And it just kind of brings out the best of the series of the game, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Really kind of just perfects it, shines it to a sheen, a glimmering sheen of a DLC. My one complaint is that I got the worst ending. I got the worst ending you can get. There's 4 endings. I got the worst one.
Just everybody dies or something.
Pretty much, yeah. Everyone who could die died, which
it's
was
like
the
consistent
bummer.
Consistently bad ending in any video game is just like, it's not like narratively terrible, just literally everyone dies is usually the default bad ending.
Yeah. And I only did one thing different, and it wasn't even different or like bad. I feel like I did the right thing, but it ended up with people dying. I guess that's what the game thinks about me.
You've been judged by Geralt.
I feel judged by Geralt himself, the White Wolf, the man of Rivia. But
questionable decision.
Yeah, don't know about that one. His voice actor sounds like he's doing a Solid Snake impersonation, which I appreciate actually.
It's not bad. Yeah, like he does it, the gravel and the grit in the voice is definitely there. He's got a little bit more inflection, I think, than Mr. David Hayter sometimes brings to the table, but it's definitely there. I like that his voice actor can get like fairly silly and goofy with it. I guess David Hayter can though too. That is a Metal Gear video game. There's some goofy lines in those video games. Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a really excellent game and series of DLCs, and anyone and everyone. It's great.
You've definitely come around on your sort of interpretation of The Witcher, because I feel like both you and I were a little bit lukewarm when we first started playing it. And I think like it doesn't make a particularly good first impression if you are only sort of engaged with the mechanics, right? Like if the story doesn't have its hooks in you quite yet, or you don't know that like the side quests are written as well as they are. Yeah. It's sort of like the combat feels a little clunky, and like the world is like borderline overwhelming. Oh yeah.
Totally overwhelming. Everything was overwhelming.
Yeah.
And it definitely, I think the console version at the very least suffers from just one of my biggest gripes in games, which is why, if you know I'm playing on a couch away from this TV, do you not just put the text in the whole screen so I can actually read it? That's my one big gripe with games nowadays, is if you're giving me tutorial stuff and it's like 12-point font on a TV that's 10 feet away from me, maybe. Yeah. Why? Let's
put it in big boomer letters, bro. I need to see this shit.
At least give me the option to put it in big boomy letters. Yep. So yeah, I think that was a big barrier for me in the beginning, was just so much reading of text. Like small text. I was like, oh god, get my reading glasses out. It made me feel like an old man. But no, it's once you get past all that, and once you start to kind of feel the flow of the game, kind of the rhythm of it, it just gets really good.
That's definitely a thing that like I've noticed that has become harder for me, and like maybe it's kind of helpful that I'm able to like deal with this now, but until I am in that rhythm of a video game, I almost like have a hard time going back to it. A problem that I'll do, or like a pattern that I come back to, is that I'll start a game, get about an hour in, and be like, I don't think I really want to do this right now. And it's typically, unfortunately enough, right before I hit the rhythm of the video game. This happened with The Witcher. This happened with Death Stranding. This happened with Hollow Knight. I like for a while was like, I don't think I really liked Hollow Knight. It seemed really overwhelming, but like I just hadn't gotten quite far enough to understand like, okay, so you unlock an area and then you kind of go explore at your will and find whatever the hell is down there. But it was just like, there's so much map. I'm not very good at the combat yet. I haven't gotten to a save point. So do I just like die? And then if I do die, what happens to my bot? Like all sorts of shit.
Sure.
Where like the rhythm of the game just hadn't hit me. And so
what's with all these bugs?
What are these bugs, man? I don't know what's happening here.
That was my secretary of bugs.
So yeah, it's I like it. It's something that happens pretty frequently, and like definitely in games that are at all different than your run of the mill video game. So it's it can be pretty useful to like give it a little bit to sink into the rhythm. The Witcher especially, because like you don't hit that rhythm until pretty far into the video game.
It took me like 6-7 hours.
Yeah,
to hit the rhythm, where I just didn't feel overwhelmed by things.
Yeah, like you do that first area. I forget what it's called, but it's like the first
Velen. Or no, you do White Orchard first.
You do White Orchard, and I don't think the game is really in its rhythm until you're in Velen.
White Orchard is just one big tutorial.
Yeah. And like it doesn't feel weighty. You're not really hunting monsters or anything, which I found like a really fun part of the game. The side quests are like there, but they're not necessarily like, holy shit, this is big and significant.
Yeah.
And like when you get to Velen, it's like, oh my god, there's so much shit out here. I almost wish they had started there, just put you in Velen initially. Because that one, like once you start engaging with like the map and like the stuff going on there, it's much more fun, especially when you can get to like major cities and like different places and all sorts of shit. So
yeah.
Not to call The Witcher 3 on its game design decisions. It's still a very well made game, but
it's great. It demands a lot of the gamer.
Yeah, for sure. And I think for me specifically, like I have to put a lot into getting into those kinds of games. Whereas like if I'm introduced to new mechanics and it takes some time to digest, sometimes I may bounce from that. And fully admittedly, wrongfully so, because Hollow Knight's one of the best video games like ever. So I was wrong on that one.
Real good. And I'm kind of in that camp with The Witcher now.
Yeah.
This game is an all-timer.
Yeah, I think I agree, and it's almost sort of a weird like opinion to have for me, just because like it's one of those things that like because it's so popular among a subgroup of people, it's like kind of hard to like really feel an opinion that isn't influenced by just other people's opinions of the video game. Like, you know, the sort of toxic fan base around like Undertale or something like that, or like that sort of stuff where like the fans have defined the media. Like like if you were genuinely about to be like, dude, you know, show's really good, Rick and Morty is really good, I would put you in a certain folder in my brain just because like I have come to understand the fandom in a certain way, and I think the same thing goes for like The Witcher as well.
But I mean, Chase, just so you know, like if you're watching Rick and Morty, you really have to pay attention.
You do have to have a high Q,
You have to really analyze it and look at it from a very philosophical point of view. Otherwise, you're just gonna miss like 90% of what makes it amazing.
Boo!
It's fart jokes, okay? It's fart jokes.
And like again, I never want to yuck anyone's yum, so like love what you love.
If you want to take a philosophical view of Rick and Morty, go for it.
Please do. I think it's just there's a lot of like toxicity surrounding people who are like, Witcher's the best game ever. Also, why can't my World War I games just be actually historically accurate? Don't put women in them. Like that sort of stuff oftentimes goes hand in hand.
Sure.
It's not the whole Venn diagram, but like that sort of stuff comes.
It's a similar sect of individuals.
Yeah, and like I have a very hard time with that. That is like the antithesis of the podcast. Yeah. So like it's hard for me to get down. So yeah. Sorry, that was quite tangential, but I agree. It's a very good video game.
I mean, I think The Witcher 3 is a great, I guess thesis point of our podcast. And that it's a game that neither of us really enjoyed at first, but we just kept going because people were like, no, it's good, keep going. We're like, okay, and then we both ended up loving it.
Yeah. There's like, I was talking to Emily Alice's brother, Brian, and he was saying, like, if video game Podtimism was a college course, there would be, like, required reading for some of it. And I think he had said Mega Man Battle Network was, like, the first book that you need to rent from the library. I think The Witcher's probably in there as a way to look at a game without sort of the toxic fan base around it, because it is quite a good game, but getting there can be sort of a challenge, especially if you are on the internet at all.
Totally. So do we need to do a Mega Man Battle Network 101 podcast eventually?
I'm ready to teach the course, man.
Wait, so here's the cast.
Yeah,
I've never played it, so I'll play it, and you teach me while I play it.
And I'll make a PowerPoint presentation to to explain why it's very good. Sounds like we need to get you an Abernic RG351P, my friend.
Oh my God, I don't even know what I would do with one of those. My goodness gracious.
Cool. Are you playing any other games right now?
That was pretty much it.
Cool.
Pretty much it. I just went deep into Witcher 3.
Yeah.
Oh, there's so many good side quests in this DLC. Oh, I don't want to ruin any of them. I don't know if you're ever going to go back and play the DLC, but if you don't,
I probably will.
You should. Both of them are quite good. Probably the best DLCs I probably ever experienced personally.
Yeah.
Because they are not just more of the same, they're totally unique stories. So it's good. It's good stuff.
Cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
Sick.
What about you? What have you been playing, my bro?
I have been playing a handful of things. I have also attempted to whittle down my list just a little because it was sort of intense there for a second. I wasn't able to focus my energy in any one direction.
Yeah. Tell me who's been getting a rose for you.
Yeah.
Who's going to the what is it? The honeymoon suite? Do they call it
the fantasy suite?
The fantasy suite.
The dark implication of me taking a video game to the fantasy suite is, I don't know if I can really approach that. That is, I have made that video game my significant other. So I have given a rose to Loop Hero. Still playing a lot of Loop Hero. It is demanding a little bit more grinding than I was expecting it to, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's definitely a game that I can kind of play a little bit in the background. I'm hoping that I'm able to sort of make a little bit more progress pretty soon. I'm not sure if I'm getting towards the end or if I'm getting halfway. I'm not totally positive about where I'm at as far as progress goes in the game. But it's still quite good. It's still really enjoyable. I forgot last week to mention that this game somewhere spiritually reminds me of Splatterhouse.
Wow.
Yeah, I think it's the music and the vibe is both very scary and kind of heavy in a cool way.
Wait, can you describe Splatterhouse to me?
Splatterhouse is a side-scrolling beat 'em up almost. It's not a 4-player beat 'em up in the way that sort of on a 3D plane almost. It's just literally left to right, and it's very horror based, so there's a lot of scary monsters.
Ooh.
There's essentially a Jason mask that comes and takes you over or something, and you have to go I think save your girlfriend. It's a very 90s game design.
Save the girl.
I know, yeah. But I think it's that, and then you just have to wander through this mansion fighting increasingly terrifying horrors that show up at you. It's a lot of just scary big oozing eyeballs and shit like that.
My goodness.
Okay. It was kind of a scary video game, so it reminds me of that a little bit.
Cool.
But yeah, still pretty good. I'm hoping I can get some progress going because it did slow down a little bit from the initial progress loop I was expecting. I am also taking a dip back into Dark Cloud 2. 2. I am playing Dark Cloud 2.
When did that come out originally?
2003 or 4, somewhere in there.
You played that one to death, didn't you?
I sure did. I played Dark Cloud 2, and I'm pretty sure that I got to the final boss and couldn't figure out how to unlock the door. I think there was an item that I needed, and I didn't know how to get it.
Oh, no.
So I don't think I ever actually rolled credits on that one.
A gamer tragedy.
Yeah, true. I was at the time, I was is my game bugged? I don't really know what to do. I think I had reloaded a few times and just couldn't pull it together. So I don't know, but I oddly don't remember a lot of this video game. I'm playing through it and I'm did I ever see this really? There's some video games I go back to and I'm holy shit, every inch of this game is familiar.
Yeah.
Dark Cloud 2, not one of those games. It's really interesting and cool to go back and play this. It's there's an up-resed version for PlayStation 4. So I downloaded that and have been playing it, and it looks pretty good. It relies a lot on sort of cell shaded graphics, and so I think that sort of stuff just ages better in general.
Sure.
But yeah, it's really interesting. It has so many systems in it. The crafting systems are all really interesting, and initially they kind of seem overwhelming, but you kind of test it out and you're oh, this really isn't that hard.
Sure.
And they sort of complement each other really well, so it can be a really fun game. There's this mechanic that I love. I think it's called just the the invention mechanic where you have a camera and you have to go take pictures of just like stuff in the world. And if you go and take those pictures, you can go and like synthesize new items, or just like the mechanic or the blueprint of an item by combining a bunch of pictures and to form like an idea, right? If you took a picture of like a pipe and a milk can and like a belt, it like spawns you out some kind of machine or something like that, right?
Okay.
So it forces you to sort of like interact with the environment a little bit more, of like just looking around and being like, ooh, that's something I haven't seen before. I bet I can snap a picture, and it shows a little icon for like, hey, you haven't gotten this before. And so it leads to this kind of fun discovery part of the game that I find really enjoyable.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a 2003 game. There's like a pretty fair amount of grinding in it. It's like a dungeon crawler. Like that's kind of the main loop of the video game.
Sure.
And so like, you know, with that comes a certain amount of like, okay, like I've definitely done this level a handful of times now. We're getting closer to the end of it, but like there's a lot of it. So that part of it I think hasn't aged quite as well, but I think a lot of it has. So it's been pretty enjoyable so far.
Cool.
And then the other day, this is my final game of the week.
Oh, 3.
Yeah, narrowed it down.
Good.
Em and I were attempting to play that last level of Mario. Could not do it. Like, just
those last Mario levels get real tough.
It's really, really hard. We were both just like, I don't think I want to do this right now. It's like a Friday or something. We're like, that's just so rough.
Yeah.
And so I pop open the eShop and just kind of scrolling around, and I'm like, you know, do you want to play Mario Odyssey? She's like, no. I'm like, okay, it's a really good game. She's like, no, I don't think I really want to do that right now. I'm like, okay, that's fine. We've already played like Overcooked. That was good. We tried that game Moving Out. That was pretty fun, but like we're mostly done with all these games, and we're just kind of scrolling through, and she's like, hey, what's that game? And we're on the eShop. She points to Dadish 2. I'm like,
Dadish 2? Like a radish dat?
That is exactly what it is, David.
Whoa.
And I'm like, I don't know, honestly. I don't know that I've heard of this game before. And so I pull it up, and it's just a very basic platforming video game named Dadish 2, where you play as a dad radish. You're trying to save your children. And I'm like, I don't know what this video game is. She's like, it has donuts in it. The radish is really cute. You should buy it. I'm like, I don't know if I really like, I don't know anything about this. She's like, it's on sale. It's $2.50. I'm like, okay. It's time for Dadish.
There's not really many things you can buy for $2.50.
No, especially video games.
That's usually like sales tax or something that you buy.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, I guess I'm getting Dadish. So we downloaded Dadish and proceeded to play 4 hours of Dadish.
Damn. Okay.
This is quite a good video game, David.
Indie pick of the week.
It's the indie pick of the week. Dadish 2 is quite a good video game.
So there's a Dadish 1?
There is a Dadish 1. It looks very similar to Dadish 2.
Okay.
A very good video game. It is a like side scroller, so it's just like get from one part of the level to another.
Sure.
It is deeply cute. It's the interaction points that you use are very limited. You have a jump and a move, and that's it.
Whoa.
Not a lot of you can do a double jump, so there's that, but
all right.
It just starts introducing like different mechanics, right? Of like, okay, you got some enemies now, you got some springs, you got some like balloons that you can double jump off of or whatever. But by and large, it's just like a level to level challenge game, right? So like they present you with stuff and you're like, I don't necessarily know how I'm going to do this. And then you go and jump and die a bunch of times and then you figure it out. So it reminds me a little bit of Celeste in the way that like any one challenge is very singular. It's like, it's not a huge grind or anything. Like you don't have lives. You just start back over at the beginning of whatever challenge you're at.
Sure.
Or like, you know, Meat Boy. It's like a modern platformer, right? In that way that it's not very punishing, and mostly the fun is just like beating the levels. And so it very much tries to streamline that from one part to another.
Sure.
Yeah, it's fucking good.
All right. Cool.
What else to say about it? It's quite funny. I feel like it's so hard for video games to be funny. And you have these little like interactions with your kids at the end of each level. They're usually pretty fucking funny.
Sure.
Again, it's rare that like a video game can get me to like ha ha ha, but
yeah, it's usually not such like good humor. Like it's usually veers towards toilet humor, which is sad.
Yeah, like it's, or just like, you know, kind of like edgy stuff that's like not particularly like
edgy
funny
stuff.
Whereas this stuff is genuinely, I a few times was like haha. M2 was like, that's pretty funny. That's a pretty funny thing to say. So yeah, Dadish 2. Good game. Also very cheap, so if you want to, get it.
Take a look. All right.
Anyway, this will all bring me to my Podtimistic thing of the week, David.
Cool. What is it?
That is the Nuzlocke run, David.
We were just talking about this. I'm
watching quite a few Nuzlocke runs right now. Nuzlocke runs, of course, being the way to play a Pokemon game where it's like these self-imposed rules. Typically, a Nuzlocke run is one in which you essentially play Pokemon with permadeath. Like if one of your Pokemon faints, you either have to release them, or just put them in a box and say that they are done. Whenever you enter a new area, you can only catch the first Pokemon that you encounter, unless they're a duplicate. And so like it forces you to play incredibly conservatively. You have to play so safe and like avoid critical hits as best you possibly can. Know the type matchups like super duper well, and just generally it changes the way that you interact with a Pokemon game quite a lot without like there's no literal mechanical difference. These are all self-imposed rules. Like when they faint, they don't really go away. You just like say like, oh no, they're gone. I've been watching both Scout Wilkinson's and Stephen Hilger's runs. Scout is playing, I think it's Soul Silver, the silver game for or the silver remake for 3DS, and then Stephen's playing the Emerald version for GBA. Both incredibly entertaining and just such a blast. Like the highs and lows of these runs are just so much fun. Like it just for anybody who's played Pokemon, like, you know, you get wiped out pretty consistently if you're not careful, right? Like you run into a gym that you're kind of under-leveled for and everybody gets totally blasted and you're like, all right, well, I guess I'll go grind for a little bit. Yeah. But in these runs, you do not have that luxury. That's it. So like you have to know what you're getting into before you fight anybody, and also have a team that is like way over prepared for whatever fight you're about to go into. Yeah. Generally just like being at level with the gym leader is not good enough. Like you have to have a couple of type advantages and be a couple levels ahead of them. Yeah. But yeesh, the triumphs and tragedies of a Nuzlocke run are just addictive. It's so addicting to watch.
Triumphs and tragedies, a Nuzlocke tale.
Truly. I was like not... This was big, I feel like, a couple of years ago, and I was not like watching Twitch so much. I wasn't watching people play video games very often. And I think just like I hadn't really found folks that entertained me very much. But the batch of Nuzlocke runs that I'm watching is a real joy. So hell yeah, that's my Podtimistic thing of the week. Is Nuzlocke runs.
Nice. Hell yeah.
David, do you have something fueling your sense of Podtimism?
I do.
Tell me.
It's kind of a hard one to explain.
Those are the good ones.
It is when you see something interesting on a map.
Okay.
Like your overworld map. And you're like, I'm going to go there and see if there's something good there. Yeah. And then there is something unique.
That good reward.
That good reward of looking at your map and being like, that looks like an interesting area. I wonder if there's something cool there.
The topography looks odd.
The topography looks different. Yeah. I wonder if there's some sort of buried treasure or secret afoot.
Are you talking about The Witcher? Is that your context?
That's my most recent one, was The Witcher. Yeah. There was a cool looking like lake that had an island in the middle of it that also then had a lake in that island in the middle of it. And I'm just like, that's an interesting topographical formation. There's got to be something there.
Absolutely has to be a secret in there somewhere.
There was a tight sword that the lady of the lake gave me there.
She yeeted that sword out at you?
Well, first she fought me, and then she yeeted the sword to me.
Yeah, hell yeah.
So that was tight, and I'm just like, oh god, I love it when games do that. Or another thing that reminded me of was from Breath of the Wild. There was that heart-shaped lake. Yep. That was like super small, so you wouldn't see it unless you like were really scouring the map and then like zoom in, like enhance. That lake over there is different. What's going on? And you go, there's like this unique little side quest there of like the lovers that you have to get to notice each other or something like that.
Yeah.
So good.
Breath of the Wild was full of that shit too. Not even on the map, but just like literally everywhere. You'd be like, that looks cool over there. And there's always something behind the rock that you see.
Always like a tiny, even if it was just a cool rock. Yeah. Always like nice. a little reward of something. Like, hey, you know, we sent you in this direction. You found it. Here's something for your troubles.
Here's your thing. It's so much more rewarding too when it's that version and probably not the like Ubisoft version where there's 100 little icons on your map and you have to go like seek out
sensory overload.
Yeah, like it's much more satisfying when you yourself, a person, a human body, notice it on the map.
You're looking at the map, not just like the little icons. Like, hey, look over here. There's something over here, player. Yeah. So that's always just a nice reward for exploration and curiosity, which is always a big bonus for a game in my book.
Zelda's been doing that for a while too. I remember this in Link to the Past. Like the overworld map had little hints of like some cool shit. You're like, I don't know that I've been over there. Like, I don't think I've seen that when I walked past it. How do I get in there or whatever?
Right.
It's good stuff.
Everything's the game, baby. Even the map's
Everything's the game. Hell yeah. Cool. Well, do you want to move on to our main thing?
First place! That's my reaction. You can take that out. That probably just blew out everything.
Somebody's eardrums are bleeding now.
Sorry, Garen.
It's good games.
It's good games.
It's good games. It is the segment where we talk about the okayest games of yesteryear, gush all the things that we love about them, and do some other shit. Sometimes we reimagine what they might look like today. Sometimes we fucking don't.
And do some other shit. That's a good explanation of this segment.
Yeah. Sometimes we do something else.
Yeah. It's a variety show, everybody, okay?
It is truly. A real cop-out of a subtitle.
It's a variety show, okay?
There's other stuff that happens. I am thrilled to be talking about the thing that we're talking about today. You had suggested this yesterday.
Yeah, you were real excited about it.
I was really excited about it. I think, I really love launch title games. I think they're just like interesting on their own. But
True.
I think this one I had played a lot more than I remembered initially. And it's also like at the higher end of games that we usually review. It was reviewed quite well.
Yeah.
Thrilled about it. It's Wave Race 64.
I love that game.
It's very, very good.
It got me going as a young lad.
Yeah, me too. There's quite a bit of things to be appreciated about it, which we will get to. But before we do that, let me hit you with a couple of hot stats, David.
Hot stats.
So this game came out September 27th of 1996 in North America. Old.
25 years ago.
Old, yeah.
We're
getting
a
there.
century.
Yeah, quite a bit ago. And that time frame would make it a launch title for the N64. At least in North America. I don't know if this was a launch title in Japan, but in North America, this was a launch title. This was made by Nintendo Entertainment Analysis and Development, commonly shortened to Nintendo EAD. They have made most of the video games. They have made things like Super Mario Brothers, The Legend of Zelda, F-Zero, Pilot Wings, Star Fox, Mario Kart, 1080 Snowboarding.
Oh.
Hey.
Oh, okay.
Little shout out.
Yeah.
Something going on there.
Right.
Nintendogs, of course, the hit. And
What's a hit?
This game here, Wave Race.
Quite a stable.
Dude, yeah, holy shit. Miyamoto was involved in a lot of the early developments. He produced most of the early games that came out of this section of Nintendo.
So this is just Nintendo first party warehouse.
I think, for lack of a better term, that's what this is. So yeah, it's mostly like those first party Nintendo games that were super popular for the NES through like N64 era.
Sure.
This eventually got like rolled into another development part of Nintendo. So like by and large, I think this still exists. It's just sort of called something else. So yeah, like I said, Shigeru Miyamoto was involved in the making of Wave Race.
Always a good sign.
It's always a good sign. He had worked with this dude who I didn't know very much about, Yoshiaki Kozumi, I believe is how you pronounce his name, who is this like deeply influential figure at Nintendo who I really didn't know very much about. He's been in a few of like Nintendo Directs, so you might recognize him if you saw him.
Sure.
But my understanding from like Wiki and like the sources that I had seen was that he was like super influential in Nintendo's transition from 2D to 3D. They were just like, Nintendo was like so early across this line for console games.
They sure were.
That there was a lot of shit that had to be figured out. And so there's like a couple of accounts of like Yoshiaki and and Miyamoto both working on Mario 64 and like just working on the camera. Like, how do we make this game feel okay to look at? Yeah, like I know that's like kind of a goofy thing to think about because like obviously you put it behind the character, but like they didn't know. When you're trying to make that transition, they'd been working in a side-scrolling environment for 20 years at that point. And so like they were making the decision of like, okay, do we put it behind them? Do we put it beside Mario? Like, how do we best translate this? And eventually did land on the sort of behind Mario camera angle. He'd also worked on the Z targeting system in Ocarina of Time.
Whoa.
Deeply influential also.
Oh, yeah.
Like it's hard to have a third person action sword fighting game without that in the lack of a second stick.
I was about to say, without a second stick, it's essential.
Yeah, you have to have some kind of like lock on. And also reportedly conceptualized a lot of Majora's Mask, like the setting and the plot of the moon crashing into the world. So like a deeply influential, and I think like a lot of the things that set Nintendo apart were because of these two working together. And of course, like, anybody involved with their staff, right? Like it wasn't these two dudes solely, but certainly a lot of the work came out of
so he's the them. Jack Kirby of Nintendo.
It kind of seemed like it. I from what I read, he was like Miyamoto had like mentored him essentially, like pushed him in a direction and like kind of like gave him the game design ideas that Miyamoto himself would carry through.
Sure.
I do have a review from our friends at Joe Video. Been a little while, Joe Video.
We're back, baby.
We're back. I have taken the review that Joe Video had. I believe it was in French initially. And I have run it through Google Translate through as many languages as I could possibly find and then spat it out in English. And
so do you run it through every single language on there?
Yeah, I do.
How how long does that take?
A couple of minutes. It doesn't take that long.
Wow. Okay.
There's two panels in Google Translate. You put Joe videos over here, and then in something else over here, you reverse them. So the translated one's over here, and then you put a new language on the right, and you flip it, and then put a new one on the right, and flip it, and put a new one on the right until you're through all the languages. I usually try to pick two languages that are absolutely incompatible with each other, like Latin and traditional Chinese or something, like things that do not have good analogs between the two of them.
Gotcha. Okay.
So hopefully attempting to mangle it quite a bit, which I believe I have. This one's a little bit longer of a review, but it's a journey.
Let's hear it.
Joe Video said, "It's easy to win the game. These waves are a series of background lives, along with stunning Nintendo 64 graphics that challenge reality. It also streamlines and simplifies Earth without any fault. Therefore, it is necessary to soften the game to fully enjoy the sport, and the only drawback is safety, which is less. Ce n'est marrant, but CNN, which is quickly forgotten in many sports and seasons, is still on the right side of the show. A mess in the ocean and a sky full of dissatisfaction. Listen to the horizon. You want to ask. Your name is 64 Waves. Are you ready?" Dude.
That one's so good.
I loved this one. Again, Fresh Onion Larry behind Google Translate spat me out some art. I love a mess in the ocean and a sky full of dissatisfaction.
For some reason,
art.
The Joe Video ones always come out like slam poetry. They're always
evocative.
Like, they really are. Your name is 64 Waves.
Love it. Speaking of slam poetry, that's actually a very good segue. I looked up a couple of ads for this video game because apparently they were like available. There is this ad for Wave Race 64 that is straight up slam poetry, and they aired this as a commercial. I'll play this for the audience, but I do want to show you.
Water churning, tide turning, sun burning, wave crash, head bash, ride, glide, collide, high flying, fish frying, eye crossing, cookie tossing, snaking, quaking, booty shaking, scrolling, controlling, rock and rolling, Wave Race 64, the first jetting, sweating in your face race for Nintendo 64. Strap on that Seahorse and ride.
Strap on that Seahorse and ride, baby. That's my new go-to saying for anything now.
If that isn't the name of this episode, I will eat my shoe.
There's nothing. Step on that Seahorse
and ride.
That was some weird like a faux attempt at hip hop.
That's what I'm saying. It's like
do.
It's like beat poetry. It's so weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, holy shit. This is both a time capsule of advertising at the time and also just sort of the vibe that they were going with,
also
with Wave Race.
That beat.
Yeah, weird. Like
slaps,
alternative.
kind of slaps.
Yeah.
Right? I want an up-res version of that beat. I want to hear it.
Yeah, where's Wave Race Slam Poetry V2?
Yeah, I can see Kendrick rapping over that. You know what I mean?
That's
Lost
actually
track
the back.
of Pippa Butterfly.
Seriously. Can you, David, explain what this video game is?
You know, it's just some good old-fashioned seahorse racing.
Is that what they call it in the biz? Are jet skis actually called seahorses in like
I
the
don't
underground
know.
jet
I
ski
think they're
ring?
just trying to be provocative.
Probably.
It's a jet ski racing video game, but it's you race against other people as well, other characters, but it's really you're racing against them, but you're really racing against your own time more than anything else.
Usually, I think the first person experience is you get pretty good at the game pretty fast, and so you're usually hitting like time trials and shit like that.
Yeah.
But you can play with other people, which I think for the N64 experience was super important.
Yeah, obviously, it's not so fun to play against the computer, but against your friends, real
Very
great to style on them with a big old flippy flip on your seahorse as you're going through, leaving them in your wake. Always good.
Exactly. Your actual wake, your
actual
physical wake.
Your actual wake this time.
Kind of follows a Mario Kart vibe, like
obviously it's not a sim. It's not
Correct,
a sim racer. It's not the Gran Turismo of jet ski racing.
Yes.
Should probably be very difficult, I would think.
Yeah, really hard.
It's an arcade type game.
This was also the sequel. I didn't realize this. This was a sequel to Wave Race for Game Boy that came out in 1994.
Wait, really?
Yeah, I was shocked by that.
Whoa.
I didn't know that there was a previous entry.
I had no
in
idea.
the Wave
either.
Race series. Yeah, it is a racing game. It's like kind of structured similar to Mario Kart, where there's like tournaments, which I think are just like 4 races per tournament.
Yeah.
You try and get in first. There's like, it's sort of structured in like a slalom sort of way where you have to like go to the left or right of any given like marker during the race. I think you can only miss a certain amount until you're done. So there's that added sort of challenge. But other than that, yeah, it's fucking racing style on them, dude. You can do some sick tricks.
You really can. It's pretty cool stuff.
I think it's this is partially, I think, still within the description of the game, but they modeled the water physics, I think, pretty well here.
It was surprisingly good.
Yeah, there's this account that they talk about in the development of this game that like Miyamoto had seen people working on these water physics, and he was like, "Yo, we can turn that into a fucking video game, guys."
Jet skis.
Initially, it was boats. They had gone to E3 and it was boats for a little while. And I think Miyamoto was like, it's fun with boats, but like people won't get it unless they're on a jet ski. Like there's plenty of boat video games. I want something unique. And it was like, I hadn't played anything like this before.
Me neither.
And again, I feel like they modeled it pretty well for like one of the first console-based 3D video games to like get the physics of water not right, but like pretty good,
close enough.
Yeah, like you have to kind of like you have to consider how the water's like flowing a little bit. Like sometimes it'll come in a lot of waves, and you kind of have to like jump over them essentially.
Yeah, or slow down a little bit. If you just plow through them, they'll like slow you down.
Or you'll go someplace that you don't want to, right? Like if you're coming around a corner, you kind of have to like slow down a little bit because you don't want to jump off the map or whatever. Yeah, I think that's mostly what the video game is. Let's gush about this game. I have a lot of things to say about this.
Sure.
Yeah, first and foremost, the water physics are like we were saying, just very good.
Quite good. Yeah.
I was super shocked about that. Like at the time, it felt like sort of unlike other video games. Just in the sense of like, this is it feels like some other kind of experience from like just the physics perspective.
Yeah.
And like it's again, it's not perfect, especially in hindsight, but like for whatever reason, I remember the graphics being pretty impressive. Like the fact that like the water looked pretty good and you could see through it, and like you could your shadows reflected off the water just a little bit. I'm like, this is good shit.
Yeah. I remember like watching videos of it again. I'm struck by like the color palette.
Oh yeah.
The colors are really nice.
Yeah.
They really have got a good feel for like a beach vibe, like of paradise beach vibe, you know?
I've been convinced over the time that we've done this show that nobody does beach vibes like Nintendo does. For whatever reason, they just know how to like put fucking beach in a bottle and like sell it to people.
I mean, that sax solo on Dolphin Shoals in Mario Kart 8.
Absolutely.
Ooh, baby, that is,
part of
that
it
is beach, baby. Big beach.
Any of the beach levels in Mario Kart, the entirety of Mario Sunshine, so beachy, so relaxing.
Yeah.
A lot of the beach levels in like Mario Odyssey are incredible.
Yeah, most Mario games that have a beach level, that beach is bopping. It's a bopping beach.
No, it's the place you want to be.
Yeah.
It felt like they were, in this game specifically, they like went for like this like Miami core fucking vibe, except they're like, let's not use the color pink very much.
Yeah, it's like a lot of reds and blues and yellows.
Yeah, it's like I
nice
feel
colors.
warm and hot just thinking about playing the video game.
Yeah, and then there's the swamp level, and then I feel swampy when I see it.
Yeah, no, they
Like
they
Everglades
communicate
level.
the vibe very well.
Yeah, no, it really is effective at evoking a feeling. We're all about the vibes on this cast. This is the vibe.
I think that's really what this show is. It's just video game vibes. Maybe that should have been the fucking name of the podcast.
Baby.
Yeah, I was like genuinely impressed with like how much they nailed the beach vibe here. Mm-hmm. And I think that is in no small part because of the music, David.
Music is so good.
The music is very good here. I think I was reading reviews, and I think I mentioned to you this before, that like it was a little bit panned when this game came out, that they were like, it kind of came off as cheesy. I get that. It is a bit cheesy, and especially when you start bringing in the narrator. But I think the music itself is like, I don't know, it really like set you in a time and place.
I think it was probably panned because it was just so indicative of that time period in games.
Sure.
That it was just like a little too on the nose. But looking back at it retrospectively, it's like, ooh, yeah, that really takes me back to that style of game. And I love it.
Yeah. It's like both a like game artifact, but also just like a cultural artifact too. Like it feels very 90s and like almost late 80s.
Totally.
Kind of the vibe there. The dude who did this music, Kazumi Takada, he did the sound design for this and a bunch of other stuff for Nintendo. He's also the Japanese voice of KK Slider in Animal Crossing. He's got some pedigree.
Damn.
But he wrote some music that you are deeply familiar with, and you will make the connection to.
Deeply.
Another video game.
Am I simple and clean? Is that how you're making me feel tonight?
Yeah, he wrote Simple and Clean, the title track for Kingdom Hearts. No, he also made all of the Wii Sports music.
Oh, God. So he's a fucking genius.
That's what I'm saying. Like the music in this game sounds so much like a B-side Wii Sports track.
You're totally right.
I'll play some of it like here for the listeners.
Welcome to Drake Lake.
It just captures that same sort of like casual sports vibe. I don't really know what to call that.
It's like the athleisure of music.
Athleisure. Yeah, no, you're right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's true. Like this sort of like we're here to have fun and we're all kind of fit.
Yeah.
And like maybe cool.
It's the nice tapered jogger pant of music.
Of video game music.
With a nice mesh breathable shirt that you're wearing or jacket.
Ooh, a mesh shirt.
Well, I mean, like,
I'm thinking black
breathable.
lace if we're talking mesh.
That's a different vibe. That's a different vibe. That's more Sony or Microsoft vibe over there.
That's Ridge Racer. That's not Wave Race.
Well, there's a party. There's Wave Racer in the corner, and he's just kind of like athleisure, and then there's Ridge Racer, who's just like goth,
dancing
with a
around.
mesh,
Yeah,
mesh shirt,
wearing a cross on their necklace. A huge vibe.
Big vibe.
We should talk about the announcer.
The elephant in the room, truly.
This is what I like to call cruising core now. It reminds me a lot of the announcer from Cruisin' USA.
Cruisin' Core. I love it.
There's a YouTube video that I pulled of only the voice announcers clips.
They don't make race game voice announcers like they used to. That's for sure.
They sure don't, man.
That's
this
for
dude was
sure.
on something. Let's get a little sampling here.
Checkpoint clear. Come back. Try again.
Just that one, just cool alone. The amount of reverb on this dude's voice.
So much.
Don't go that way. Don't miss any more. Don't sweat it. Everybody's behind you.
It's just out of context. What the fuck is going on here?
It sounds like Will Ferrell doing a impression of the lead singer of the B-52s.
I understand what you're putting down there.
Do you feel it though?
I am so much more enamored with just the context of the words that he is saying. It sounds like it's not related to Wave Race to me. Hey, Wave Racer, Wave Race, I'm having kind of a hard time in school. I just don't feel like everybody's in my life is really like supporting me. What do you think?
Everybody's behind you.
Thanks, dude. I really appreciate that. That's really nice.
The inflections are just on weird syllables.
Yeah, like this dude maybe doesn't know, like he knows English. he has learned English only through reading and doesn't necessarily know like how to say the thing.
Everybody's behind you.
How'd you do that? Keep going.
And then he gets like a gravel to his voice sometimes.
Yeah. Hey, Wave Racer, did you see that Undertale just really recently got announced to be on Game Pass so that everybody can play Undertale?
Let's go.
Yeah, I'm excited too.
So you're telling him we need a Wave Race announcer soundboard?
I think so. It's so multi-use.
Oh, can you play Smokin'?
This is very weird. I've heard this one already. It's very, very weird. I'm
ready.
Let's get ready for this.
Smoke it.
He's got so much sauce on the way he says that.
That's kind of like a Jim Carrey vibe right there, you know?
I agree that it starts at Jim Carrey and he takes it to another place.
Smoke it.
Can you do Not That Hot?
Not that hot.
Very weird. I don't understand. Like, what are the cues this dude is reading? This one, listen to how dark this dude sounds in That Was Weak.
That was weak.
What?
Sounds like something Ganondorf would say to me.
I'm wondering, like, what else did you voice? Did you happen to voice Ganondorf? Because, like, the weak sounds like a Ganondorfy thing. Whenever this dude Dedue gets hit in Fire Emblem, he just says, weak. And it sounds like that. The Wave Race dude was doing the same thing.
Smoke it.
The dude sounds unhinged.
Smoke it.
He doesn't even say smoking. He says smoke it.
Does it have the final, like the victory?
It doesn't. That's the fucked up part.
Whoa.
So the end of the
careful.
race, he says something. And I have a very hard time really making out what that thing is. I'll try and play a little bit of it here.
It was what I was trying to evoke when we started this segment.
It sounds like bonsai or something. Like
I think he's saying first plus. That's kind of what I'm getting from it.
the athleisure of video game soundtracks. Jesus. What else is cool about this game? Let's.
I like the verticality in it.
Yeah, you really do get some airtime.
The verticality and the buoyancy. Like, you really feel like you're moving up and down a lot in the game, and that adds just a dynamism to it that really makes it feel more alive. Like, if you weren't bobbing up and down on the waves and you didn't have those jumps, it would be so much more boring.
Yeah, if it was just flat the whole time, I don't think it would be the same game
Not at all, right? So I think that really subtly adds a lot to it. Just that really kind of gives you that feeling of like, oh, okay, I'm floating right now. And now I'm floating through the air because I just jumped and did a sweet flip.
The tricks and stunts are fucking cool. That is a true thing. That level that you and I were just watching, in that level there is a killer whale that just like breaches next to you during the first lap.
Forgot about the marine life. I'm a sucker for marine life in games, baby. I love it.
Cool as hell. Probably pretty dangerous, but like it's just a video game, baby.
Real dangerous, but that's why I'm playing games.
That's why I stay inside where it's safe and I can see a killer whale.
Inside boy.
Yeah, the tricks are very cool. I think like that part of the arcade experience is really great. I particularly like simulation like racing games. I think that's a thing that I enjoy, but it takes kind of a special sauce to make an arcade racing game fun, because like, you know, you can make Gran Turismo is pretty accurate at what driving is.
Yeah.
And I think the reason that it's fun is because it is accurate. Is Gran Turismo fun at any given moment if you aren't into cars? Kind of not really, right? Like,
yeah,
if you aren't into racing, it's not necessarily a fun thing. And so it takes like another layer of game design to sort of make a racing arcade game actually interesting and fun.
True.
And I think they definitely do it here, of like it hits a close enough balance of this feels like I am racing and I'm kind of controlling a jet ski, but also I can do stunts and there's a killer whale over there.
Yeah, and I'm not going to fall off and hurt myself.
Yeah. Like the penalty for doing like for hitting something too hard, your dude just like goes underwater for a second, you come back up. So it's very fun. I think like, again, I think Nintendo just knows how to make fun racing games, as evidenced by the long and good history of Mario Kart.
When's the next Mario Kart coming out is my question.
I can't remember where I saw this, but somebody was like, conspiracy theory, Mario Kart 9 is a couch co-op only video game, and they're going to drop it the day that coronavirus is declared done.
Whoa.
Can you imagine the fucking hype around this video game? That like it's only playable in person, but yet everyone's like, oh yeah, I gotta go play this.
What would that be? Would that be like, where would that fall on the alignment scale? Would that be
Yeah.
would that be chaotic good?
It might be, it's either chaotic good or chaotic evil. I'm not sure. Or maybe lawful. Is chaotic lawful thing? No, it's not. Maybe
Chaotic lawful good. So it's chaotic,
It's
neutral.
It is definitely a chaotic decision, because like, why? why would that be the thing you do? But they're also giving us such a good reward.
I think it's
at
chaotic
the end of
good.
quarantine.
I think it'd be a chaotic good move.
Because they have something beautiful.
Yeah.
And they're like, we want to give this to you, but we also want it to be at the weirdest time possible that like defies the logic of game releases.
Thank God, dude.
Like Miyamoto's just got a button somewhere that releases it onto the e-store.
You're just going to be finding random people on the street. Come on, we got Mario Kart, baby.
I don't know
Let's
who
go.
you are. It's been a long year and a half. Please, I've got Mario Kart. This is really, okay. So the commercials that we all saw and laughed at of people playing Switch on like the basketball court, when they're like, oh, we'll just prop up my Switch and play it with 4 people. It wasn't a commercial. That was
prophecy?
real. It was a real footage from the future.
Whoa.
It was everybody after quarantine playing Nintendo Switch. Their hearts are open and they're ready to connect again.
My heart is open now.
Maybe that's what Kingdom Hearts is.
Yeah, that's what Kingdom Hearts, Death Stranding, that's what it's all about, baby.
That's what it's all about.
But really, they should do another Double Dash.
That's what I'm saying. The next one is Double Dash 2. Super Double Dash.
Then you could have 8 people.
That's what I'm saying. They're waiting to drop it.
Super Dash.
What's the best name for the sequel to Double Dash, and what is the most Nintendo name for the sequel to Double Dash?
The most Nintendo one would be like Super Double Dash.
See, I think Super Double Dash would be cool.
But it's very Nintendo.
It is very Nintendo. Let me counter your most Nintendo with New Double Dash. Because it's not very good. Double Dash Advanced.
Mario
Double
Kart,
Dash
New
U.
Double Dash.
Yeah, exactly.
No, that's true. Oh,
or
man.
even worse, Double Dash New. They could easily put new at the end of it and say that's the title we're going with.
Let me tell you the worst one.
Okay.
Double Dash Switch.
Ay. It's, yeah. I wish they wouldn't couch their names in just whatever console it is on. Although I have such a nostalgia for anything that ends in 64.
That's just because we were babies then.
It's just my boomerism coming out whenever that's my the nostalgia factor.
My video game boomerism.
Let's see. Hell yeah. Well, I don't have anything else for Wave Race. I feel like I felt so many things about this video game. I just love it so much. It's a very good video game.
If you were gonna remake it, or you're gonna do a sequel to Wave Race, what do? How do?
I know this is kind of like past its prime a little bit. You could easily make Vaporwave Race and have it be such a fucking cool video game. I know that's not necessarily in style anymore, but just like let's just update it. Let's make it like lo-fi Wave Race to chill to. To ride your Seahorse to.
Ride your Seahorse to.
You could do so, like, this game is very much like living on its vibe. I think you could make such a cool updated version of this game.
Yeah.
Because, like, the game is there already. It's fun still. So if you can just kind of, like, tighten up the controls and do, you know, the Mario Kart treatment to this one of, you know, updating the UX of it and making it run really well.
Just use Ubisoft's water physics,
Yeah,
wave physics
truly.
engine, whatever they do. That secret sauce. Oh, their waves are so good.
Very good.
Or what about this? You said Vaporwave. What about Steampunk Racer? You just,
Hell yeah,
you're
dude.
just a steam. It's a steam engine. Steam, like...
It's like
You see what I'm
a
saying?
fucking a train. You have to shovel coal into the back of your fucking jet ski to make it go, dude.
yeah. It's like Double Dash, but the person in the back is just shoveling coal.
Shoveling coal. Very fun. You just tap A for 3 minutes.
That's the little brother one over there. He
Yeah.
gets the controller for that one. Keep smashing A, Tommy.
The prequel to Wave Race.
The prequel, the very distant prequel.
It's Wave Sprinter, the prequel to Wave Race. Take your 3-ton jet ski out on the water.
Jalopy ski. Onto the racetrack. It's on land. It's just on land.
Yeah, it's just wheels. It's a boat on wheels.
This ain't gonna work in the water. They just gotta
No,
die.
absolutely
They just
not.
gotta die.
It is not unlike Kerbal Space Program. It's more about how long can you keep your boat afloat
There you go.
with this like industrial revolution ass boat.
Speaking of space, what about Space Race?
Space wave race.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
just celestial
Absolutely.
waves racing through. You're like that celestial solar wind spaceship that they talk about all
Yeah.
the time. You're just going
Yeah,
like
dude.
a bajillion miles an hour, but it feels like you're doing nothing at all because you're in space.
the atomic fucking engine or whatever, where you're just putting out one atom every second. Eventually, you're going to be going very quickly. I mean, Mario Kart 8's in space, so you might as well update it.
They're
Just like throw all logic out. Say the fucking Wave Race game was the one that was rooted in reality. This new one is not.
yeah.
New Wave Race New is not a game that is rooted in reality. This is a space racing jet ski
Just
game.
make a Katamari race.
You might as well
Might as well.
roll some shit up. Jet ski came charging in.
That's all I gotta say.
That's all I gotta say.
We're all out.
We're all out of video game takes. Okay, well, cool. David, we are on Twitter. If you would like to come interact with us there. Did I say that right? Was there a weird letter in there?
It sounded right.
Interacts with us?
Interact?
Interact with us? I don't know why.
Interacts with us.
I shortened some
It
weird
gets
stuff
off
in
of
there.
Twitter and interacts with us.
If you would like to come interact with us, we are at Podtimism. A great way to support the show, if you would choose to do so, if you just loved your time here, is to go give us a review on your platform of choice. Apple Podcast tends to help the most, but, you know, what the fuck ever. On any of them that you want.
What the fuck ever.
Yeah, on any of the spots that you like. Also, a great way to help the show grow other than reviewing is to show it to a friend of yours. Say, hey, friend, do you like video games? And they say, yes. And you say, would you like a podcast? And they say, not really. I have a lot. And you say, but this one's pretty good and relevant for you. And they say, okay, fine. And you show them this, and they're like, wow, that was a podcast. And then they review it on Apple Podcasts or something, or they just enjoy it. That's also a valid use case here.
Share it with all your classy gamer friends.
Yeah, you're cool gamer pals. Gotta come up with another word for gamers. It's just unavoidable. Gamers. So yeah, also, our final and most important note, thank you.
Yeah,
for
thank you.
listening. We got some feedback about our 50th, and it was positive. So thanks for listening. Thanks for taking time out of your day to listen to us chuckle fucks do some stuff about video games. There are many video game podcasts, and so you need not throw a stone very far to find one.
It's very true.
So thanks for sticking around with this one. We appreciate you.
Yeah, thank
and
you.
support you in everything you do, unless it's a dumb or shitty thing.
Yeah, sorry, we're not down for that.
Yeah, sorry. But the rest of you, you know who you are. We support you deeply. Okay, cool. David, do you have any gaming wisdom?
I do.
Tell me, please.
Oh yeah, so you know, if you're just riding through life and you hit some turbulent waves,
Yeah.
You know, just trust in yourself. Hold on to that seahorse in between your legs and in your grip, and just hit that jump and do a sweet backflip, baby. And you know, even if you fall, even if you mess up, you're just gonna get right back on that seahorse and keep going.
You're gonna strap into your seahorse and ride. I don't know of a more powerful word.
Can you? For some reason, pony is going through my head right now.
Good. Good.
Pretty much. But replace pony with seahorse.
I'm on jet skis, going fast, yeah. There's a killer. Oh, whale shit. Gonna do a cool backflip.
Ride in my seahorse.
That's good. And here is the part where I don't fade in our music with pony, so it makes logical sense. And perfect. We'll see you later, friends.
Bye-bye.
Do a backflip.